What if you wanted to go to Eastern Europe or South America or Southeast Asia and you wanted to explore around for a few months, let's say? The problem is that you're going to be paying a lot for accommodations because short term, whether it's a week or two, the cost is much higher than it would be if you had, say, a 1-year lease on a property. The per day cost is much higher when you go shorter term. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how an idea that myself and this other gentleman named Iggy have to save you up to 50% on accommodations. But we have some questions about it that we think you can help us answer. So as the interview goes on, you're going to see questions at the top, and at the end there'll be a survey where you can answer these questions that we need to know in order to make the service exactly what you want it to be. And so at the end of the video, there'll be a big yellow button that says survey. Click that and go, and you can answer the questions that you'll see throughout the video. If you're busy or whatever and you want to skim through part of it and just go straight to the survey, you can just go right to the end of the video and click the survey button, or click the first link in the notes below this video, and we'll do our best to provide the best things closest to what your opinions are on the survey. So this is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and today we're lucky to have Iggy and Rani on the call here. Welcome, you two.
So great to be on your channel, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of yours.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
We always enjoy watching your show.
Yes.
Well, that's very sweet. So Iggy and Rani have been successful in life, and they want to travel the world now. They have an idea of how to keep costs down, and it was amazing. I got an email from Iggy, and he has an idea that's very similar to an idea I had a few years ago, which I haven't had time to implement. And so we're going to share our ideas. We're hoping that those of you watching will be interested in this idea. Then we will know that maybe it's worth pursuing if we get enough feedback. So that's the idea of this conversation. Well, welcome, Iggy and Rani, and why don't we get started and tell people what we're talking about.
So after watching your YouTube and many others I've been following, because we also want to travel the world, but we have also decided to retire in Malaysia. We have bought our condo there in Kuala Lumpur, but we want to travel the world, especially the low-cost countries. And we have seen the world. We have seen the world practically through organized tours of 2 weeks at a time. But they are all in a rush, 1 day or 2 days in Paris, and then we go to Switzerland and blah, blah, blah. So, you wake up early morning, 6 o'clock and this and that. And what attracted us was the concept of slow travel.
Yeah.
So I started making plans for it. But then I said, oh my God, this is so difficult. First of all, to zero in on deciding where to go. And then once you decide where to go, to find a place to stay. And you don't know if that place is the best place in that town. So we could do, and then everything we would do on their own. We will take advice from TripAdvisor or Facebook groups. But then we had to reinvent the wheel. I could rent, let's say, 2-bedroom homes, condos, in each of the cities that we want to go to. Then a couple by themselves, or 2 couples, or 2 individuals can come, travel to those places. So we would select, especially with feedback from people like you who have seen the world a lot more. I guess the last count you've seen 63 countries.
67, right? Yeah.
67 countries, and you've been everywhere. So you will be able to advise on which are the cities we need in each country to go around like this, especially tailoring towards people, one, who want to explore the place for their own retirement. And secondly, for people like me, we are not looking for a place to retire, but we want to see the world in a slow travel fashion.
Yes.
So a lot of the groundwork that one has to do when you're traveling is done by us. So just for namesake, I thought, okay, let's say we had 52 cities in South America and Southeast Asia, which are the low-cost countries, and certain European countries, Eastern European. We could select 52 cities to start with, or maybe 12 cities to start with to give a 3-month plan. And I would rent these condos there for a year, so we would get the best possible price. And I called it the club. The club members would go there, spend 1 week in a city, and they will move to the next city, and the guy behind them will come to their city. Now, everybody will be in touch with the guy in front of him and behind him, who will give them all the tips they need. And we will have our own website where everybody will be saying, okay, we went here, we ate here, this is a great place to eat. So instead of us on our own finding on our last day of the trip, hey, this is a great place, we should have been coming here.
Yeah.
In our, that will be a lot more. Otherwise, for everybody to go do research on YouTube, like watch yours, I'm sure you show sometimes, hey, this is a great place to eat. And there are other people for each city. They seem to be doing, they say, we went to this place, that was great. But here we would be more a closed members. If it is 52 cities, we'll be 52 members traveling in a wheel formation. And I thought it would be great to partner with a person like you who has seen the world, who knows the ins and outs. And the most important thing I thought was, if we can identify somebody who will help us in this travel process to be an ambassador in each city, they would be our contact point for the people who are going there, and even for me or you when we go to rent the condo. So we should rent these condos right in the best part of the city where we don't need a car to just see the life there, a lot of public transportation, this and that. And your advice on, you just fly to the continent once, and from there it should all be by road or train or whatever. That would be the cheapest way. And I even came up, so seeing all your videos, the accommodation per month per condo, which will include the rental, then we have to buy sheets and pillows and all that stuff. I know that because I run a retirement community here. So there are a lot of overheads, except this will be for the club, where we would just practically share the costs, and there would be a small membership fee that everybody would pay, which will pay for our overhead expenses in arranging everything. So this, in a nutshell, is the idea I had, which I pitched to you to see what you thought about it.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea, and it proves that two great minds think alike. So my idea was to it's very similar, is to start with there are already these web pages that are people swap their houses. You've probably seen those, and so they have their house listed, and then someone will approach them and say, hey, you're in Miami or you're in Alberta, Canada, wherever you are, and we're here. Would you like to swap for a week or two this year for vacation? So that's going on already. And what I thought would be different is that once there was, let's call that this first two, you would have a system where the two could agree, hey, would you like to add a third city? And so then they would go to the database and send a message and say, the two of us are swapping now. If you'd like to jump in, it would be whatever, a week or 2 weeks or a month, we would swap. And then once there were three, you could say, do the three of us agree we'd like to go to another city? And then you invite people, or people just see that there's a three, and then they say, hey, I'm in this city. Can we join your three? We'll make it four. So it's very similar. Yours is more convenient, I think, for the process maybe of setting it up, because you're talking about having places where people who don't have a home base, if you will, to swap. Like, for example, if I flew to, like we plan to in the spring, we plan on flying to Eastern Europe and starting like in Turkey or even further east of there and heading all the way up to Estonia, doing a week or two or maybe a month in some places. But I wouldn't have a home base, so I would have to go rent a place for a year and I'd have to furnish it. So but it would work for people that are already settled somewhere, that already have a home, and they could post pictures of it and they could offer swapping. So it's but it wouldn't just be a straight up swap. It would be create these wheel you're talking about, where once it sets up and that date approaches, however many people are in it, 6, 8, 10, 20, they would have to, and all the people in the wheel would have to agree. Like, let's say there were 6 already and someone wanted to join and make a 7th. The other 6 would all have to agree, yeah, let's let them join. I'd like to go to that city too. So just variations of the same thing. So I think it's an idea. And the thing I like about your idea and our ideas is that one of the problems with slow travel is, we talk about low cost of living, but low cost of living really doesn't come to fruition until you park your butt in one spot and you negotiate a 1-year deal. Right, you're not going to get the kind of rents I'm talking about. The 200, 300, 400, whatever per month, depending on what your budget is. If you're trying to do it for a week, then you go to Airbnb, you just rent the place for a week. Well, that can add, 30, 40, 50% to your budget. And what this would do, whether it's yours, with 52 or 12. Or it's people doing it, kind of setting it up on their own, like I'm talking about. It freezes those costs lower. In fact, you just basically pay for your home station and people swap into yours. So I would be interested. I mean, the reason and you agreed with this, is the reason this is fun to talk about with you is because other people are going to watch this and they're going to say, you know what, I like this. And so we can get feedback from people about, is there demand for this? And it's always best in business, as to know if you have demand for something before you spend a lot of time or money on it. And so not just feedback, yeah, I'm interested, but if people have ideas too, of how to make it better, it would be great. And so that's why I wanted to take this call and talk to you about it, because I thought it would help bring down that cost, that entry cost, and that knowledge base that you're talking about when people are communicating with who's in front of them in the circle and who's behind them, and sharing what they've learned along the way. So that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, the parallel I can draw to is the 2-week trips we have made to Europe, Eastern Europe, Africa, China. Everywhere we have done these 2-week tours organized by various companies.
Yeah.
And the best part is you don't have to worry about which cities you are going there in your trip. They decided that for you. Where you're going to stay, they have decided the hotels for you. And everything they have decided for you. Yes. And that made it very convenient, because when we are working, getting more than 2 weeks is almost difficult, very difficult. Whereas now we are looking at mostly people who are retired or digital nomads who are also looking to explore places, to go. They would also love to see the world and be a digital nomad, because we'll make sure there is Wi-Fi in every house. Just like if you stayed for a year, that is where the best break comes. As you rightly said, Airbnb could be double the cost in rental. And here, especially the people, I was talking to my community members, and almost everybody I spoke to, they jumped. They said, take me down my name, I'm interested. And then you go to the next one and just top it off. There's so many hidden advantages in traveling as a group. And a lot of people said, can we travel as two couples? Because that gives them a sense of something, comfort. So that is, I think, why I decided that we should do a 2-bedroom in each city. Maybe it cost us 600, 700, because we want the good place right in the middle of the city. Yeah, sure, you can go to the outskirts where you have to walk for 15 minutes. I, for one, I'm also a heart patient. I cannot walk too long, I get breathless. I have to wait, go very things. So I think, in my mind, I think that should be a great interest from lots of people.
Yeah.
If there was something like this, I would just jump on that and go, instead of having to do hard work.
Yeah, and you could, and there's there's other variations of this too. Like let's say you had a 12-week wheel, or they could be 2 weeks, right? We're not saying it only 1 week or 2 week, but that it's see what the demand is. But let's say you had a 12 station wheel, and they only wanted to go to 4 of the stations, but someone wanted to come in. If they said, I'll give up, I want these 4, but if you want these other ones, you could take. So there's all kinds of variations of way to do it, to piece it
depending
together.
on the interest, we can fit them all in the puzzle,
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot. I think the underlying concept is fascinating, and whether or not it would bear out, and because people have diverse interests of where they might want to go, but there's a lot of value to what you're saying. And that's when, like, you go to China and they've already set the itinerary for you. They're going to go to these 6 or 4, whatever cities. It takes a lot of the thinking out of it, especially since on a lot of those packages, they're showing you like what's there. And, in order to sell you on that package, they're telling you what you're going to do in that city, showing you photos of it. And so that would probably develop interest in people that may think they want to go to these other places. But when they see that whole package and they don't have to think, and they just jump on the wheel, wow, that's and if the price is reasonable, there's a whole bunch of people that probably would love to slow travel but don't want to do their homework. And if you're doing the homework for people,
I like to make these kind of things happen. Like I've made the community happen. Once we set the ball rolling, it will be a perpetual machine, perpetual machine. And I think of the people I have spoken to, almost everyone has said, I am in, count me in, So, maybe we can start a 12-week here, 12-week there, whatever, depending on the feedback we get. Through this, your broadcast, I think we need 2 kinds of people. One is we need those expats who are already there and willing to join our team as ambassador in that town.
Right.
And the second group, the larger group we need, is the members, club members who want to travel in this concept. Right. So these are the 2 segments of people we are looking for feedback from. And that will tell us, hey, is this a non-starter or is this got some legs?
About 2 years ago, when we were in Panama, I started to realize that I wouldn't be able to keep up with all of my reports up to date. I know I have 200 reports now or something. And I realized I needed to have an ambassador in each city, which is an expat that lives there already. And so I put out a video. It was called like Help Wanted Expats Living Overseas or something like that. And I got a lot of feedback, probably 100 odd people responded to that. And so I know there's a demand. I think what happens, I have another video that talks about boredom in the second year of retirement. And when people are stationary in one place, after about a year or the middle of the second year, they start to get bored and they want something in their life more, whether it's spirituality or it's charity or it's helping people, or they need a little extra money, some people. And so there's a need in retired couples or people to want more in their life. And so there's a demand for that, even if it's, if it's just, a few hours or 10 hours a week even. And also, my thinking for the ambassadors was that if there was an ambassador in every city, they would be able to keep up my reports up to date about that city, and they could be the same people that are talking to realtors, finding rentals, and providing the next rental for the wheel for that city. So a lot of ideas.
I read through all your ebooks, by the way. And it's really, you've done such a wonderful job in compiling them all together.
Yeah, thanks. So good. Well, I'm sure glad you emailed me, Iggy, and we'll have to see what the feedback is on this. Well, good. Well, thanks you too. I really appreciate coming on and sharing the idea, and hopefully people will get as excited about it as you and I are.
Nice talking to you.
Well, that completes our idea of reducing the cost of slow travel substantially. If you'd like to answer one or more of the survey questions, there should be a yellow round button on your screen now you can click, or click the first link in the notes below this YouTube video. Ask as many questions as you like. And if you would like to be on my email list or Iggy's, put in your email and click whether mine and his, or mine, his, or whatever it is you want to do. And right now also you can grab a free copy of my ebook. That should be on the screen. And also there's a link to all of my tricks and tips on how to slow travel the world cheaply. Watch that.